The third raid this patch just came out and I am making a video on the second one. Why? Because I'm slow. Well, anyways, hi, I'm Niffy and I want to show off low budget options for the second raid, Marsh Creation. This video is for all the players who struggle getting a good score, be it for a lack of units or knowledge on who can work surprisingly well in this raid. I will be using only 5 or lower star units as the core of my teams, and then add different carries afterwards to show the potential. After the showcase, I also want to give my opinion on the units I used, and talk about options that could replace them. Marsh Creation's main gimmick is all about managing your own and the boss's buffs, so naturally I will be using units that can buff, heal, or counter to dispel the buffs of the boss. The fight favors units with beast and mineral afflatus, so most of the units I will showcase are from those two types. The first core unit is Balloon Party. She's an incredibly good healer, especially for players who lack either Medicine Pocket or Tooth Fairy, or both. She is especially good in this raid as her counter and ultimate incantation provide your team with counters that further lower damage taken, thanks to the environmental effect of the fight. My Balloon Party is Insight 3, level 20 and Resonance 9. I have put this much investment into her because she is my main healer, as I have neither Medicine Pocket nor Tooth Fairy. Her Psycube is Laughter and Laughter, which in my opinion is still her best in slot. The next unit is Necrologist. She offers decent damage, but that's not where her strength lies. Not only has she a Dispel on her 2-star by the Coffin incantation, but also a Revive, Heal and strong damage buff on her ultimate. It has to be mentioned that Necrologist can't dispel the counters from the boss. Her Revive also gets cleansed by the boss's ultimate, so she can't protect her allies from dying here. At the same time, her I3 effect prevents her from dying to the ultimate herself. My Necrologist is I3 level 20 to get set healing effect. Her resonance right now is 5. Her best Psycube is her second life, but she works with basically everything that's available. As the third we have Sonetto. Sonetto is pretty straightforward. She offers a buff that both gives defensive and offensive value, and her kit has decent damage. Sadly, the boss is immune to crowd control, which makes her disarm useless. I have her on Insight 2 level 50 and Resonance 6. As her Psycube, I use whatever is available and gives her the highest stats. Next we have Tenant. She doesn't just offer a shield, but said shield includes damage reduction, stacking with the environmental effect of the fight. Her Silver Bullet mechanic also provides some help for reality damage dealers to deal with the boss's high reality defense. I have her on Insight 2 level 50 and Resonance 6. As Psycube I use Thunderous Applause, but as with Sonetto, you can use whatever gives her the highest stats available. Last but definitely not least is Cristallo. Cristallo offers one of the best defensive buffs in the game, giving both defenses and 1 stack of sturdiness on top. Her 2 and 3-star incantation Caged Bird is the highest available reality defense debuff in the game. Her ultimate's debuff doesn't just deal Genesis damage, but also raises the damage the afflicted targets receive. Lastly, she passively heals her allies whenever she herself gets hit. I have her on Insight 2 level 50 and Resonance 5. As her Psycube I use That Inquisitive Deer, which doesn't just raise her healing but also works with 2 and 3-star Caged Bird. Before we get to specific teams, here's some general advice on how to handle these teams in this fight. You should always try to keep a 2-star buff counter shield in case you need to clear buffs from the boss. At the same time, try to keep defensive buffs on your units as their low investment makes them frail, especially the longer the fight goes on. The first team I want to showcase consists of Tenant, Cristallo, Balloon Party and Sonetto. The main goal of this team is to survive everything the boss has to offer. The team consists of 4 reality damage units, which is why the reality defense debuffs help the team with its otherwise lackluster damage. Nonetheless, the team still can't deal enough damage to prevent the boss from using its ultimate. This is where the team's great survivability comes into play, as it can survive the boss's ultimate easily. Because of the low investment on my characters in this team, I didn't expect it to do too well. But when I recorded a run, I got pleasantly surprised. I never imagined that I could clear the boss with an S rating with this team. I probably got lucky with some crits, so don't expect an S every run from this team at low investment, but it is definitely possible. The second team consists of Charlie as carry, Cristallo, Balloon Party and Necrologist. My Charlie is at I3, level 20 and resonance 9 with 3 portraits. She struggles somewhat to deal enough damage, but her ultimate can cleanse the boss's buffs, including its counter. While the overall damage of this team was slightly better than the first team's, it had to tank an ultimate as well, and didn't survive nearly as well as the first team. I still managed to get an S in the end, but it took me multiple tries to do so. The third team features Eternity as carry, accompanied by Cristallo, Balloon Party and Sonetto. My Eternity is I3, level 30 and resonance 10 with no portraits. This is another team that consists of 4 reality damage units, but with a stronger carry than the first team. Despite having to tank an ultimate as well, the team still managed to achieve a pretty comfy S rank clear in the end. The last team I want to showcase uses Melania as carry. My Melania is I3, level 30 and resonance 10 with 1 portrait. Melania is one of the 3 strongest damage units in this raid, and you can basically use any combination of Cristallo, Necrologist and Sonetto, in addition to Melania and Balloon Party. The end result is always a comfy double S clear if you manage your Melania Moxie well. Let's get to my verdict on the units I used. Let's start with the carries. First was Charlie. She struggles to deal the damage needed as she doesn't have a favorable Afflatus. Her ultimate is very useful though, so if you have her build already, she's definitely an option to try out over other non-build units I showcased, except for Melania. Speaking of Melania, she is definitely top 2 or 3 in this raid in terms of damage. I used the Moxie battery team from my previous video in this fight as well, and it was able to reach at least an S easily. It sadly didn't have enough survivability though. If you want to replace Melania, then the only other 2 options on a similar level would be Pickles and Carla Bauner. Other lower tier beast and mineral mental damage dealers also work, but are weaker. The third carry I used was Eternity. While Eternity doesn't bring the same damage as the top damage dealers, with the right team she was able to achieve a comfy S clear. Another option for the same team would be Centurion, as well as other very well built beast and mineral reality damage dealers. Now to the supports. First comes Balloon Party, who is again a really good healer. Her performance was as good as you could want. She would also work with less investment than I have, as her healing doesn't depend on it. Replacements would obviously be Medicine Pocket and Tooth Fairy. Just be aware that Tooth Fairy doesn't offer any way of damage reduction like Balloon Party or Medicine Pocket. Next we have Necrologist. Necrologist overall worked really well. One downside is that you want her on I3, which makes her a little bit more expensive than the other units I used. Her revive getting cleansed by the boss's ultimate is awkward as well, but it doesn't make it useless. Her heal, buff cleanse on the boss and damage buff make her very valuable. A unit that would replace her is Pickles. Pickles doesn't offer sustain, but his damage is a lot higher than hers, and his ability to cleanse the boss's counter as well make him superior to Necrologist. Third is Sonetto. Sonetto is a good option, but her performance varies a lot depending on the team she's in. While her damage is quite high in reality damage focused teams, she falls off a lot otherwise. One big upside is her availability. Every player gets her with 5 portraits throughout the story, and she is also free to upgrade to a certain point. In mental damage comms, she is easily replaceable by other units that can offer some sort of buff or higher damage output than herself. Next in line is Tennant. Tennant is very good at keeping your team alive in this raid, and can help reality damage dealers quite well. One downside of her is definitely that her shield only lasts 1 turn. Her I3 could raise her value quite a bit, but also the investment needed for her. Cristallo fills a very similar role to Tennant, but better. Another replacement that would do better than her in a similar role would be Miss New Babel. As already mentioned before, Cristallo fills a very similar role as Tennant. While Tennant deals a lot more damage than Cristallo, Cristallo offers better protection with her buff, she can debuff reality defense, and her ultimate offers another damage bonus for your team. While her passive healing ticks are quite small, it adds up over time, and unlike Tennant's shield, no point of it is wasted. As a 4-star, she is also very cheap to build. Units that could replace her would be, for example, Medicine Pocket or Voyager. Medicine Pocket heals a lot more, applies sturdiness with their heal, and offers debuffs for more damage. Voyager applies sturdiness with her counter, which gets damage reduction from the environmental effect as well. Voyager's ability to apply the confusion debuff also helps dealing damage. Well, we are at the end of the video. I hope I was able to help, or at least entertain you, and as a last example for the viability of at least part of these teams, I used Eternity, Cristallo, and Balloon Party, with Necrologist as 4th unit in the current Limbo, and was able to 3-star Limbo 5-1 and 6-1 first try. And with that, I wish you a nice rest of your day.